So you want to make money selling sneakers? Well, whether you already sell shoes or are looking to sell shoes, this is how to make money selling sneakers in 2025. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Speed, and today we're going to be covering the essential pieces to reselling sneakers in 2025. Now, there's a lot of things we're going to cover here, and we could go in depth and talk about this for 5, 7, 8 hours. But today, I'm just going to talk about the essential things that need to be understood if you want to start and scale a successful sneaker business. Now, before we jump into the video, let me tell you a little bit about myself and why should you listen to me. Well, my name is Hayden Spieth, owner of 440 Kicks LLC, and we have a downtown storefront location in Cleveland, 1224 Huron Road. Make sure you guys come check us out. And we also do live sales on Whatnot, 440 Kicks. Plug in right here. Make sure you guys follow. We're like giving away stuff like every day of the week. I have traveled the country for the last 5 years selling sneakers to everybody and their mother, okay? So take it from a guy who's turned millions of dollars in the sneaker industry and has had to adapt to multiple different trends and ultimately different sales channels to get to the point where we are today, okay? Let me just preface this by saying this is not easy. If reselling sneakers was easy and scaling this business was easy, everybody would do it, okay? There's a reason why a lot of people dabbled with shoes in high school. Maybe you guys were in middle school selling a couple pairs, and ultimately that was just a little side hustle that you did for a while, okay? The people that you see selling sneakers 7 days a week, 365 days a year are killing it because they found their niche, they found their lane, and they've ran with it, and they've found a way to scale their business, and they've been very successful doing so. The sneaker industry is a multi-billion dollar industry. Okay, let that soak in for a second. So our whole goal here as a reseller, as a sneaker business, is to just cut a little piece of that pie out, okay? So what I'm about to spill right here is how you yourself can slice a piece of that pie and bring it home to you. Okay, so let's talk about reselling sneakers. Let's jump into it, okay? So there are two different ways to approach reselling sneakers, okay? You either have used shoes or new shoes. Both lanes of the business are very lucrative, and there's a lot of other ways to make money with new and used shoes. Some sellers like to do both. They've been in the game for a while to figure out what works with them selling used shoes and what works for them selling new shoes, okay? But we're gonna act like you have $1,000 in your bank account and you wanna start today, tomorrow. How do you start and how do you approach this whole thing, okay? Now, let me also preface this by saying you don't need to have a ton of capital to start selling sneakers. I myself started with $100 in my PayPal account, like literally $100. I bought my first pair of sneakers back in 2015. It was a pair of Jordan 11 Legend Blues, and I ultimately wanted to get into sneakers because my parents weren't buying me retros. Like, it just wasn't gonna happen. So I wanted to get the shoes myself. So what did I do? I started selling stuff around my house, on eBay, you know, everything from Nerf guns to ceiling fans to my grandpa's auto parts. And once I got a little chunk of change built up, I bought my first pair of shoes. Okay, I wore them to school, thought I was a cool kid, like finally had my first pair of J's, and then I ended up cleaning them up and sold them again on eBay, which I had bought them from in the first place, and made like 20, 30 bucks. And I was like, wow, this is fun. I got to wear a pair of shoes, I got to style them and get some enjoyment out of them, and then I ended up making a couple dollars on it. I was like, this is a win-win-win. So from that very moment in time, I fell in love with the sneaker game. Now, fast forward 10 years, we're in January of 2025, and things are a lot different than they were. But again, these key tactics and approaches that I'm about to spill to you guys will ultimately allow you to start and scale a sneaker business. Now, it's not easy. It's gonna take a lot of time. You're gonna encounter failures. There's gonna be a lot of moments where you just feel like you don't wanna do it. There's gonna be days when you wake up and you're like, man, like this just hasn't been working for me. The people that persevere, the people that are able to stay consistent and persistent no matter what's going on are the people that are gonna make it, okay? There have been some months, some weeks, some months, some half of years where it's been very hard for us to grind the gear and turn the wheel in terms of making profit and making advances and scaling. If you just stick through those low times, I promise you it's all gonna be worth it. So let's jump into it, okay? So we have used and new shoes, two different types of shoes, completely different sales channels needed to be able to sell used and new shoes. Step one, the most important step is to find a way to source your inventory. Okay, shoes don't spawn in. There's not just a bunch of deals going around. I mean, there are, but you need to figure out how you're going to source your inventory. Now, there's a couple ways you can go about doing this, okay? You can pick up pairs at outlets. Maybe you're doing a retail loop, which here in 2025 is a lot harder to do. Or maybe you're just doing retail arbitrage and going to your local Finish Line and Foot Locker and using coupons and rewards programs to get a cheaper cost on your sneaker. Whatever you're doing, you need to find a way you're going to source your first couple pairs. $10. My recommendation for people that are just getting into things would be starting off with used shoes. I think that's the easiest way to kind of ease into things. It's a low risk sort of operation to where you're not buying a pair at retail and then you have to worry about selling it 10, 20% over retail. Again, in 2025, there's not a lot of sneakers that are dropping that are just instantly selling over retail. So you have to be creative and maybe start dabbling with some used shoes, okay? Now, when you figure out how are you going to source your inventory, again, that's step number one. And maybe it's as simple as going on eBay right now and scrolling through sneakers for 5 hours and finding a couple profitable pairs or pairs that are really cheap that you think you could clean up and make a couple dollars on. Whatever it is, you have to start sourcing some inventory. Now, step two, once you've figured out how to source your inventory, you need to figure out a sales channel that you want to start selling on. So for me, when I started selling, I started buying used shoes on eBay and I started selling the used shoes on eBay. And yes, I'd have them posted on OfferUp, and you know, I don't know if Facebook Marketplace was even really a thing back in 2015. I never used it, but you need to find a sales channel that you yourself are going to start promoting your products, okay? And in 2025, it's never been easier to promote your items. There are so many different sales channels and so many different applications, websites, and marketplaces that people are actively looking to buy shoes. So if you are able to find a good price on eBay, on a Jordan 11, on even maybe an ASIC, on a hot shoe, and you're able to clean it up, put some good pictures out there, you can turn around and post that on 7 platforms at once. So let's just talk specifically about used shoes for a second. You can post on eBay, Poshmark, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, wherever. There are many different places you can be posting your used sneakers. And the reason why I'm kind of talking about used, again, it's an easier entry level to start selling shoes. But you need to find a sales channel that you want to start working with, okay? So let's say we're going along the used shoe route. You're gonna buy a couple pairs on eBay, or you're gonna go to a local sneaker event and you're gonna find a couple used pairs that maybe aren't in the best condition. You're gonna take those pairs home and clean them up, touch them up, do whatever. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube talking about how to restore sneakers and how to make them look newer. And once you apply those to that used shoe, you can then turn around and start posting on these sales channels. Now I'm jumping a couple steps ahead here, but when you find the sales channel that works best for you, you need to run with it. A lot of sellers are very adamant on selling used and new and doing 17 things at once. And for some people, it works for them. And for others, it can be very daunting trying to manage these 17 different places you're selling items. As a brand new seller, as somebody who is trying to make money tomorrow, you need to figure out what works for you best and then run with it. So again, let me just break down a couple different examples of what this looks like, and then we'll talk about different sales channels that you yourself can begin investing time and knowledge in to scale your business. So if you're a brand new shoe seller, okay, maybe you're a person who likes to go to the outlets. Maybe you have a local outlet near you that does crazy percentages off of retail on sneakers. You start going to these outlets and you're opening StockX and you're scanning the barcode on every single box. Okay, can I sell this one and make a couple bucks? Can I sell this one at lowest ask and make a couple dollars? Once you begin to focus on that sales channel and you start turning sales, let's say you go to the outlet and you buy 5 shoes and you sell the 5 shoes in a month, okay? That clearly worked. Whatever you did worked. If you're making a couple dollars on it, run with it. So go back to the outlet and maybe spend double the time, maybe have a little more money and try to focus on, okay, now I'm looking for 10 shoes. Now I'm looking for 20 shoes. Now I'm looking for 50 shoes. Again, this is not going to be easy and it takes a lot of time. That's another reason why there's not a million sneaker resellers, okay? Which is a good thing. It's a good thing that there's not a million sneaker resellers. There's a couple 100,000 of them, but there's not a million sneaker resellers. So if you can find something that works, you have struck gold. You were able to find a pair at an outlet and make $10. Now imagine in your mind if you were able to 1,000 times that. Imagine if you were able to just 5x that. You turned one sneaker that you profited on into 5 sneakers, into 10 sneakers, into 100. Now we'll get into the scaling aspect in a little bit, but that's kind of the long-term focus here in terms of just finding something that you were able to make $1 on and then reciprocating that. The reason I say focus on a sales channel is, let's say you take an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours out of your week to go to an outlet, okay? And you spend all that time finding a couple profitable shoes and you sell that. Well, in the same aspect, you're also spending a couple other hours searching on eBay, and maybe you're finding 1 or 2 used shoes and you're making $5, $10. Okay, so let's say you took the time right now to spend 3 hours on eBay and 3 hours at an outlet. You found 5 shoes at the outlet that you made $10 a pop on, so that's 50 bucks. You found 2 shoes on eBay that you made $10 to $15 on. Okay, so you made 20, 30 bucks on. You made $30 sourcing on eBay and flipping it. You made $50 with pairs you found at the outlet. So knowing that you spent the same amount of time doing that, which one was more worth it? Obviously, the outlet was more worth it. Now let's reverse it. Let's say you went on eBay and you found 5 pairs and it took you 5 hours to buy the pairs, and then you get the pairs in and you're spending another hour cleaning them, whatever, and then you turn around and you make $10 a pair, $50 here. Then you go to the outlet and you can only find 2, 3 shoes that, again, you're still profiting $10. And I'm keeping this very conservative here just to say $10. I mean, obviously that's not a crazy profit, but you have to start somewhere. Let's say that the amount of time that you spent in the outlet was not as effective as your eBay searches were, okay? So bottom line period, all I'm saying is whatever input is yielding you the most output is worth more of your time. So yes, you could take the same amount of time, you could take 10 hours and do the eBay and the outlets, but ultimately if the outlets is what's returning you money faster, focus on that. You can't scale a business spending 20 hours a week doing 2 sales operations where one's taking more time than the other, and the one that's taking more time is not providing you the same output, the same profit, the same growth, okay? Now, again, a lot of people want to get in the sneaker game and they try to do everything at once. Good for you. If that's effective for you and you're making good money and you enjoy doing it and you have the time to do it, okay, then do what works for best for you. This is not universal advice to everybody watching this. But again, all I'm trying to say is if you are starting with $1,000, with $500, with $100 right now, and you want to find out how to grow your $100 business to a $1,000 business the fastest, you need to focus on what works best for you. It's different for everyone. We have sneaker businesses in America right now that turn millions of dollars on StockX alone, millions of dollars on GOAT alone, millions of dollars in their sneaker store alone, $1 million on their Whatnot channel alone, $1 million on Facebook Marketplace. And now, again, that's a very small percentage of people, but there are people out there making this money with their specific sales channel. Now let's talk about different sales channels, okay? I've kind of prefaced a few of these, but let's walk through them one by one. Number 1 is DTC, direct to consumer. Now, this is arguably the hardest, most time-consuming method in selling shoes, because when I say direct to consumer, I mean you either own a store and you're selling directly to a consumer who's going to put them on their feet, or you're a local Instagram sneaker plug who are trying to find people to buy your shoes to wear, okay? That is direct to consumer. Direct to consumer means you're selling a product to somebody who's going to wear them and enjoy them. That is directly from you, however you source that product, to the client that is going to put it on their feet / in their closet. Now, direct to consumer can yield the best margins, okay? Because you're selling to people who clearly want your product, who have the money to buy your product, who are also understanding of paying a certain margin above what we'd like to say the market price is, because they understand the value of being able to have that sneaker same day. A lot of people want to shop on StockX because it's a low price. We got Panda Dunks up right now for $69. But the people that are able to buy those Pandas for $69, $70, put them up at a nice store or take them to a show and sell them for $150, they're receiving the highest margin because they're selling it to somebody who might not even care what the price is. They just want to own the sneaker and you're the person that has it. Direct to consumer is ultimately the end goal. It takes a lot of time to do so, and it also takes a lot of capital, okay? Now, I started selling sneakers on my Instagram back in 2015, and honestly, I didn't have a solid local crowd of people. I wouldn't solid local crowd in terms of like 10, 20, 50 people who would buy stuff off of me until 2019. So again, it takes a lot of time to build that brand, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But once you're able to build a brand and you are a sneaker resale entity, those sales are going to yield you the best margins and ultimately allow you to grow your business the fastest. But that takes time. Sales channel number 2, and we're gonna talk about brand new shoes only on this, online, okay? When you're selling new sneakers, you can literally sell them on any application, whether that's eBay, StockX, Grailed, GOAT, Poshmark, Mercari, Instagram, Depop, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, etc. Okay? That is 10 plus sales channels right now that if you own a brand new sneaker, you can sell on. All of these sales channels are wide open for you to post your item on, okay? Now, obviously, you need to be able to buy your item at a good enough cost to where you can be competitive with brand new prices, right? Because if you own a Panda Dunk Low, there are thousands of other people in this country right now trying to sell a Panda Dunk Low in the same size you have. So that's where competition might kind of, again, it's better to focus on used shoes, maybe just starting off, because if you're just going out trying to buy a Panda Dunk and you're paying $100 on it, good luck trying to sell that for $150. I'm telling you, it's very hard to do so, and people are not getting rich off of Panda Dunks right now. Sales channel number 3 is online sales, but we're gonna talk about used shoes for a second here, okay? The online sales channels for used shoes are the exact same other than StockX. StockX is the only marketplace that I named you are not able to sell used shoes on. Now again, if you don't have a plug that's throwing you brand new shoes 50, 60% off of retail, which again takes years to meet those people, then that doesn't matter to you because you're selling used shoes and you don't need to focus on StockX, okay? There's plenty of other places you can sell your shoes in used condition. Now, again, I want to emphasize that used shoes are the best beginner level to get into dabbling with resell, because you usually have the lowest entry level costs. Whether you're working with a collector who's looking to simply get rid of their pairs and are willing to throw a good deal on it, whether you are hunting on eBay and you see somebody, kind of along the same lines, just somebody who's owned the shoe for a while, worn it, had a good time with it, but they want to recoup their money, whether they have a credit card payment up or they got to pay their rent. You can take serious advantage buying used shoes off of people that simply want to get rid of them, okay? And if you are a person who's willing to take the time to clean them up, take time to take nice photos, and then post them on all of the platforms we've discussed, you can start printing money today, right this very second. You need a screen, a heartbeat, and some Wi-Fi connection. Anybody can do it. I started in the 8th grade. Now, shouts out to my mom. She helped me put together a PayPal account, because in terms of bank accounts and payment processing and all that, you're gonna need a legal guardian to help you with that. But you yourself in middle school right now can start reselling sneakers. And there are kids that I know that are 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, turning thousands of dollars a month, selling on all of the sales channels that I have discussed along the lines of used shoes, okay? Now, we talked about direct-to-consumer, online sales for new shoes, online sale for used shoes. Sale channel number 4, and this is kind of something I seriously leveled up on, would be the middleman, okay? Now, I will say, being a middleman back in 2018, 2019 was a lot easier than it is in 2025. However, middlemen are always going to be an essential part of this business, because you have store owners like me who don't have the time to go to every sneaker show anymore. We are constantly selling inventory and constantly buying inventory. So what do I mean when I say middleman? Middlemaning is a process where you are able to source shoes at a decent price, creating a little bit of wiggle room to simply flip it to somebody else like me, like a store owner, a direct-to-consumer seller, and make a very small margin. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of middlemaning. Middlemaning pros, you're able to move volume, you're able to sell things fast, and sometimes you don't even have to touch the product. If you know somebody who has a size run, let's say in a Travis Scott Velvet, okay, they have 8 through 13, and you see on your Instagram page, this reseller that has them right now is charging $450 a pair. You might call up your local store owner or call up, and again, this is something that kind of takes a little time. You have to go out there and meet store owners and such. This is not something you can start doing right now. This is kind of like down the line. But then you can see somebody post the product, and then you can reach out to the direct-to-consumer seller, the store owner, the whatever, and say, hey, would you be interested in Travis Scott Velvets at $475 a pop? I have a full size run available. Now, I will say you have to do your due diligence as a middleman. You don't want to be the kind of guy that's sending a list to somebody and that person wants to lock it in, and then you reach out to the buyer or the actual seller and they don't have the product anymore. You really can earn a bad reputation fast being a middlemaner if you are horrible at your job, okay? So again, this is something that maybe a year, 2 years in, you start to implement a little more, because after that amount of time in the sneaker game, after going to shows and networking, ultimately, it's easier to be a middleman because you have access to the products and you also have access to people that want to buy those products. Sometimes it's not worth putting your own money into something if you know it's a hard mover, or if you don't want to put that amount of capital into a certain buy. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue being a middleman. So what did this look like for me? I'll literally break it down on how I did it and how you can do it too. In my early days of being a reseller, I spent hours a day on Instagram. Every single day, my goal was to follow 3 new Instagram sneaker sellers with the entire goal of just building my network, okay? So I spent a year, 2 years doing that. At the same time, I was trying to find store owners who would purchase my products. And there was a store in Beechwood, well, they're actually in every mall in Ohio right now, Hype, that I used to sell all of my sneakers to. So here I am, 18, 19-year-old kid. I had built up a little presence on Instagram, and I start seeing all these pairs being posted every day, okay? So I basically reached out to the store owner and said, hey, I can get you pairs of X, Y, and Z at this a pop. Would you be interested? When he said yes, I would take the little amount of money that I had, whether that was 5, 10, 20, 30 pairs, whatever I was able to buy, I would buy them from this person and then take them up to the store and immediately get cashed out. That helped me scale very quickly. That helped me scale my revenue. That helped me scale my reputation. And before you know it, I'm working with all these Instagram resellers that are just selling me stuff. And then I became known as the guy that was able to buy the GRs. And every time then they would get a list of stuff, I was the first person they hit up because I was a shark in the sense that I would buy all the stuff that they had. So let's say, again, let me just paint one more picture of this. Somebody would post an Instagram story of 5 pairs of Yeezy 350s at a set price. I'd reach out to my buyer and say, hey, are you interested in these 5 Yeezys at this price? He would say yes. I'd buy the pairs from them, and then I'd flip them to him immediately. Next time this certain reseller would get 5, 10, 20 pairs of Yeezys, I was the first person they reached out to, and then I would reach right back out to him. And this is something that he sold from me, and he was successful selling, again, the direct-to-consumer seller, and he would say, yeah, bring them in. Every single time he would tell me to bring them in. So they'd get 20 pairs, boom, I'm buying 20 pairs, dropping them off, getting paid. That is how you can be an effective middleman. By finding sellers, by finding suppliers that have a decent price on their product, and then by finding very strong buyers that are constantly selling merchandise that will cash you out for your inventory. So I started selling 20 pairs a week to this guy, let's say. Before you know it, 2-3 months down the line, I was selling 100 pairs a week to him. And then before you know it, we had worked up to the 500 pair mark, and he started, actually it was kind of like a consignment thing, which again, we're gonna speak about in a minute. Where he's like, yo, you're bringing in a lot of pairs here. I'm gonna have to write you a check next week. And I was okay with that because I knew he was good for it, and obviously I knew where the store was, like it was local. I wouldn't recommend being a middleman and doing any sort of consignment or payment plans if you're not able to physically go to that location, okay? As a reseller, your time is very valuable, and your time can get shot down very quick, and your ability to move and grow as a business if you front people inventory. I would highly recommend to never front inventory. We're gonna put that in big letters here. Do not front inventory. You need to get paid on the spot for your merchandise. That's how you're gonna grow the quickest. Now, the last sale channel we are going to discuss today is consignment, which I just brought up a couple seconds ago. So consignment is where you have products that you provide to a store, a direct-to-consumer company, whether that's a resale store, whether that's a reseller, whatever, and you do not make money until they themselves sell your item. Now, the pro with consigning shoes, it is the most passive way to make money in the sneaker industry. Because if you are able to find something at a good price and know that this specific brand is selling it at this price very consistently, you're able to buy that shoe, drop it off, or ship it to this consigner. Consignment can be a very effective way to scale your business because it doesn't consume all of your time. So you can already have a 9-to-5 job and be working 40 hours a week doing something, but as long as you're able to budget a couple hours to buy inventory and then send it to this person, they will deal with all of the hassle of selling that product. They'll put up the overhead to do it. Again, if they have a store, they're already an operating store. So for you to provide consignment products to them can be a very effective way to scale your business. Now, with consignment, you have to be able to buy it at a good enough price and be willing to take a good enough cut of the sale to make it worth it for the sales owner. Okay, so let's just, again, spin another example. You are able to buy Panda Dunks at $100, let's say, theoretically. You know your local resale shop is selling X amount of Pandas a week for $175. So what's not gonna work is you taking your pairs to a consignor and saying, hey, I got all these Pandas, I wanna get paid out $175. They're not gonna take it because they can buy the Pandas as well. And this might be a bad example because Pandas, not good at consignment shoe, but you wanna be able to buy a Panda at $100 and then take it to your local resale shop and say, hey, I will front you this inventory, I would like to consign this inventory with you, and I am okay taking a $130 cut on this. Now, it's a big pro for a sneaker store because they don't have to invest their capital into that sneaker to be able to put it in their shop, and when it sells, they're still making a decent margin on that. If you're able to find a SKU, and when I say SKU, I mean the specific alphanumeric code that goes to a certain product, style and then color code in a sneaker. If you're able to find a SKU that you were able to source at a good price and then provide that to your local resale store for a decent enough price where they can still turn $1 on it, you're in business. You're golden. So let's say Asics Gel 1130, that's one of the hottest SKUs out right now. You can find pairs in bulk as low as $90, $100. If you're able to buy those pairs for $90, $100 and take it to your local resale shop and say, hey, I know you guys sell these for $175 every day of the week. I'm cool fronting these to you guys for $130. And again, you want to be able to focus on something that they don't already have in stock, right? Like no sneaker store is going to, I shouldn't say no sneaker store, but our store specifically would not take any consignments on something we already have sitting on the shelves. So this might take a lot more time researching and actually talking to your local sneaker store about what they have in stock and what they'd like for you to consign, but make that phone call. Call your local store and say, hey, I'm looking to consign products with you and I got a lot of time to source this inventory. What are you guys looking for and what would sell best if I brought it up? What are you interested in? You don't even have to take a shot in the dark and just buy stuff and hope they want it. Like, give them a call and say, hey, what are you guys looking for? What can I consign with you? How can we do business together? And maybe that store doesn't want to do business with you. Okay, this is where being consistent and persistent comes into picture again. You might have to call 15 sneaker stores before somebody wants to work with you or do consignment. But I'm just saying it's out there, and it is an effective sales channel to sell sneakers, to grow your sneaker business, and to ultimately make profit, right? That's what we're all in this business for. Yes, it's fun. Yes, we love dealing with shoes, but you have to make money to grow. You have to make money to pay a team. You have to make money to be able to cover production. We do content. I'm not coming out of pocket for content unless we're making money during the week. You have to make money as a business to be able to cover those costs. So again, just a quick recap. I know I'm doing a lot of yapping here. One, you have to be able to find a source of inventory, okay? And then you have to decide a sales channel that you want to sell that inventory on. This might take a lot of trial and error. This might take 6 months to figure out, but if you guys are dedicated and willing to spend that time, to invest that time into this industry, once you nail down a source of product and a sales channel, you're 90% there, okay? And again, I guess step 3, I've already discussed this, but hyper focus on the combination that you've just built, okay? Hyper focus, nail down every little detail you can to the business that you're building. You found a place that you're sourcing your inventory, okay? We're deciding that we're going to outlets and we're buying pairs on there and we're gonna sell them on StockX. If that's working for you, run with it. Scale that. Don't worry about, okay, I'm getting a couple pairs from the outlet. Now I wanna try buying used shoes on eBay. And then you end up losing money on the shoes that you bought on eBay because you don't have enough time to clean them. You don't have time to take good pictures, and now you have 50 pairs of shoes that aren't selling. Find out what works with you and run with it. Be relentless with it. Find a way to grow that 1 pair to 5 pairs to 10 pairs to 20 pairs. And don't focus on another sales channel until you've built that up to 300 sneakers. Some resellers, some sneaker businesses don't even focus on another sales channel because their one channel that they found, the one groove that they're in, is good enough. But again, there's always changes in the market. You have to be dynamic as a business owner. And sometimes that sales channel might start dropping off and you got to look at other options, saying, okay, I've been going to the outlet for a while, selling pairs on StockX, but now the SKUs that I'm finding, other people have in their outlets too, and I can't compete with these prices. So now you have to kind of stray away from that and go, okay, maybe I start dealing with used shoes. You have to be dynamic as a business owner. Step 4 is branding. Now, this is something, again, you can start from the jump by creating a sneaker page, a sneaker resale page on Instagram. Come up with a cool name. Okay, don't do an area code kicks. I made 440 kicks in 2015. That was like the trend. If I started this business today, I would not be 440 kicks. There's a million area code kicks, all right? It's very generic, not unique, and the only reason I've kept that is because that's what we've been 440 kicks for 10 years. I'm not gonna rebrand it at this point. But branding is arguably the most valuable part of your business because once you have branding, you're able to build a reputation and you're able to establish yourself from other resellers, okay? When you go to a sneaker con, you see people up with signs with their name on it. You see people passing out business cards with their name on it. That's very important on growing your brand. Your brand awareness is everything. You need people to understand who you are as a seller, and then once you start making content or once you start posting pictures on Instagram, they can start relating those things to you and your business and how it works. Down the line, maybe it takes 1 year, maybe it takes 6 years, maybe you blow up and it happens tomorrow. But once you've established branding and your brand, you're able to sell merchandise. I mean, the opportunities are endless. And with that branding, again, I want to emphasize on how important your reputation is, okay? You need to be doing good business with people. Do not sell inauthentic products. Do not screw people over for money. Do not waste people's time and flake on deals. All of these things are so important as a reputation because people will talk about you, okay? I deal with a lot of other sellers, and sometimes when a new seller comes into my DMs, I might call somebody and say, hey, do you know this guy? I see you're a mutual follower. And if that person that I'm calling is like, yeah, this dude does bad business, like he shipped me a bunch of pairs and they were all damaged, or he was missing 7 sizes or whatever, I am 90% less likely to do business with that person. So establish a brand and keep a solid reputation. I'm telling you, that is like the most important thing in business, no matter what business you're doing, okay? You can be a sneaker store owner, you can be a car auto mechanic shop, you can be selling flowers. I don't care what you're doing. Your reputation and your branding is everything. So make sure you spend a lot of time focusing on that and be creative. Be creative, let your ideas flow. We have AI now, guys. ChatGPT can help you build a brand tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying that's the most creative way, but that's another angle of approaching it. Go into ChatGPT and be like, hey, give me 15 sneaker resale brand names. Maybe they'll give you a good one. But I would also say with establishing your brand, make sure somebody else doesn't have that name. Obviously, if you want to file an LLC in your state, you can't file an LLC under somebody who already has an LLC with that business name. But, don't go out and be a Common Hype. Don't name your shit Common Hype, or don't go out and name your brand the Shoe Game Co. Those are 2 amazing sneaker businesses that already have an established platform. And anytime somebody looking up the Common Hype, they're going to find the actual Common Hype. They're not going to see your page. Don't be a 440 kicks ... because it's a different URL on Instagram, a different username. I'm telling you, you're not going to grow because you're being shadowed by somebody who already has that business name. We'll do a whole video on that because that's very important. But again, just in terms of how to make money selling sneakers, you need to have a brand and you need to uphold your reputation. Step number 5, again, I've already discussed this, but scale the business. So now you've found a source of inventory, you found a sales channel that works for you, you are determined, motivated, and inspired to not stop at any cost, no matter what the failure obstacle is, and you've branded yourself and you're dead set on keeping a solid reputation, okay? Now it's time to scale. That is step 5, and that is what follows everything I just discussed here. rinse and repeat. Again, like I said earlier in the video, find out what works best for you and run with it. Find a way to turn your 5 pairs into 10 pairs into 50 pairs. Scaling is the most important part of growing a business. Scaling is growth. Now we'll do, again, a whole nother video on how to scale a sneaker business. There's a lot of different ways to do this. It really depends on what kind of your sales avenue and your sales channels are. But keep that in the back of your mind. You want to figure out a way to turn your 1 sale a week into 3 sales a week into 7 sales a week. I cannot emphasize this enough. That's how you were actually going to make money selling sneakers, because once you start having costs, once you start having to pay that rent for a building, a little studio that you're holding your shoes in, you're gonna have to find a way to sell more shoes than you were before, because now you have expenses that need to get paid, and these are not expenses that you're incurring sitting watching this right now as a person who doesn't have a shoe to sell yet. Last couple pieces of advice, and then we're gonna recap this. As I said, you wanna find a sales channel that works for you and run with it, but at first, don't be afraid to try everything, okay? Go to your local outlet, see if you can get some coupons on a shoe at Finish Line, and spend some time on eBay. Buy a couple pairs and see what was easiest to buy and then easiest to sell, and then what yielded you the most return. You might have to dabble with things before you find something that works for you. It might take 6 months, might take a year before you really figure out what works best for you. But don't be afraid to try stuff. You need to take many risks in this game to define the gold, okay? You might have to dig 17 holes before you hit oil, and nobody's gonna show you right where the hole is, because again, if somebody knew where the oil was, they'd already be drilling there. You're trying to find oil in a field that is untouched, okay? This is a brand new business we're talking about. So you might have to check every plot on the map before you find out what works. But again, when you find that, run with it. Another piece of advice, you need to be willing to take a loss to take a gain. What do I mean when I say this? You might buy a shoe that is not selling for you. You bought a Travis Scott One Low Velvet for 450 bucks, and for some reason, whatever reason it is, even if it's an act of God, you can't sell that shoe for 475 bucks. You might have to say, okay, you know what? I've had this shoe for 2 months. I have $450 invested in the shoe. Let me just try to sell it for what I paid on it, okay? Now you're trying to sell it for 450. If you can't sell it for 450 and it's another month, you might have to sell that shoe for 420, 400 bucks, okay? The reason I say this is you're never gonna grow if you have dead money sitting in dead inventory, okay? Money that is sitting in a sneaker month over month is essentially a cost, because that money's not turning. The whole concept of reselling is buy, flip, and repeat. Sometimes resellers don't want to lose 10, 20 bucks on a shoe because in their mind at that moment in time, okay, I'm losing money and I don't want to lose money. I want to do anything but lose money. But sometimes you have to lose money to recoup that to be able to reinvest. That's a very essential part of this. Write that down if you're taking notes here. Again, like I said earlier, be creative. Find a way to make content. It doesn't need to be this whole studio setup and crazy production, but whip out your phone and start taking aspects of the lifestyle that you're trying to achieve. Maybe you're going to the outlet. Take a little video, compile a little reel of how you found a couple deals at outlet. Those things resonate with sneaker sellers like me, and that'll allow you to grow your brand and reputation faster, because people will get to know who you are and they'll be like, oh, this is the guy that goes to the outlets and buys shoes. So don't be afraid to be creative and put yourself out there a little bit. If you want to be the top dog in this game, you need to be creative. Another piece of advice is put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Maybe you're a kind of person that likes selling on eBay, selling on StockX, you don't even want to leave the house. And the only time you're leaving the house is when you're going to source inventory at an outlet. But sometimes maybe it's a dead month and you're not able to turn that revenue, and you really don't want to go to a sneaker show. You don't like talking to people, or you don't want to take the time and effort and put money up to do that. But sometimes that's your only option. So put yourself in uncomfortable situations and try new things. If you sell new shoes and you only want to sell on StockX, that might work for a little while, but sometimes you got to get outside and see what else is out there. So put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You cannot be content at any moment in time, no matter what business you're running. Being content breeds laziness, and laziness is unscalable. You can't scale a lazy business. You can't scale a business with a lazy person running behind it. And you need to be an innovator at all times. I'm not saying reinvent the wheel and figure out how to remake electricity from a couple wires, but I'm saying you gotta try some other things when shit gets slow and stale. Last thing I would say, find a mentor, okay? Watch our YouTube videos, watch other YouTube videos out there, reach out to sneaker resellers. Not everybody's gonna wanna take the time to hop on a one-on-one call with you, okay? And yeah, I think we could charge $100, couple $100 an hour to do that with people. I'm not in this to monetize off of solo folks right now, okay? We're really trying to put out free content for you to be able to develop ideas and to be inspired to run your own business, but soak in all the knowledge you can. You need to be a sponge to everything. Find out what works for other people, find out what doesn't work for other people. The more knowledge you have, the easier it's going to be for you to navigate through this business, and again, to essentially grow. That's the whole goal here, is to grow, to scale, to make money. Now, I know I did a lot of yapping here, okay? A lot of yapping, and again, this is something, I could break all of these bullet points down and talk for 45 minutes a pop on them. But I wanted to try to give you a little snapshot of everything. But we're gonna recap, okay? You're a person who wants to sell sneakers in 2025, you wanna know how to make money. Step one is finding a source of inventory. It doesn't grow on trees, and you need to figure out where you're gonna get that low-cost product to be able to flip it and make a couple dollars. Step two, you need to find a sales channel. You found the inventory. Check it off the list. You have a place where you can buy profitable shoes, but you need to figure out where you're gonna sell it now. Step three, identify what is most worth your time and hyper focus on it. If buying shoes at the outlet and selling on StockX is yielding you money, focus on it. Hyper focus on it. How can you make that business better? You need to just focus on what works for you. And again, it's different for everyone. You have people selling millions of dollars of used shoes, of new shoes, of middlemaning, of custom shoes, even whatever it is. Find something that works for you and run with it. Step four is branding. This is something that needs to be done immediately, but you need to brand how you're presenting your sales, okay? Build a brand, build your reputation, and network with other people. That is the most important part of this business if you want to grow. And step five, you start to scale the business. Rinse, flip, and repeat. Grow the 1 pair into 3 pairs into 5 pairs. Scale your business until it's unscalable. Until you have 1 million new shoes and you physically, it doesn't make sense to buy any new shoes. That's when you jump into another sales channel and start selling used shoes. Okay, I've already mastered the art of selling brand new shoes. So now you go, I'm gonna go into used shoes now. I have all of the resources put up to run this business. Me spending time on used shoes is not taking me away from the business I've already built. And now you experience these other sales channels and you find a way to scale it that way. But again, I would appreciate you guys just taking 5 seconds to like and subscribe to the page here. Again, this is all of the information that I could present you guys in the shortest amount possible to help you grow your business, to help you start a business today. And all I ask is that you guys just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment one thing you learned below, or comment something you found interesting, maybe something you disagree with. I'm open to have a discussion about it. Again, I am a person who has sold $5 million+ in the sneaker industry, and not what's worked for me is gonna work for you. Not everything works for everybody interchangeably, okay? But at the end of the day, if you're inspired to go out there and make money tomorrow and you're in love with sneakers and you wanna make sneakers your business, go out there and do it. You are the only person holding yourself back from your true potential. And with these resources, with the resources we have in this day and age of 2025, the opportunities are endless. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you stayed a little entertained. Hope I didn't yap your ear off too much. But make sure you guys, again, subscribe and check out our latest sneaker videos. We're gonna be dropping a lot of cool content with a bunch of other ways that we dive into this. We'll do a video on scaling, we'll do a video on branding, and we might even do videos specifically on these sales channels and how to make money on it. But again, remember, you need to be dynamic. Not what works today is gonna work tomorrow, but find some way you can start turning that wheel of money and see where it takes you. Till next time, it's your boy Speed from 440 Kicks. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at 440.kicks, Whatnot at 440 Kicks, TikTok at 440 Kicks, and check out our website at 440kicks.com if you are looking for the freshest drip at very affordable prices. Till next time, stay blessed. It's been real. Peace.